This is FightFans Radio.
Welcome to Across the Pond with your hosts, Andre Jacobs and Matt Simpson.
Hey there, welcome to FightFans Radio. This is Across the Pond MMA. My name is Andre Jacobs. I hope you're all having a fantastic weekend, whether it's sunny and you're in the UK or it's just something in the US. You know, you could be in Seattle where it's raining, California where it's so hot that your skin burns, or you could be in Indianapolis where old people go to die. Talking of Indianapolis. Joining me, as per usual, is my co-host and my good friend, Matt Simpson. Matt, you're old. You're not ready to die yet, are you?
Not yet, anyway. I'm every day, though, I inch a little bit closer.
That's usually the thing that happens with death. I mean, old people.
Yeah,
So,
anyways. But yeah, no, everything's going fantastic here in Indiana. And the weather's actually wonderful. I mean, it's nice, breezy, cool, 70-degree day. So
the perfect weather for old people to die in.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
I'm not even a minute into the show and we're all dropping F-bombs. That's just professional. Great. Matt, so what film did you see last week, just to remind people?
I don't know that I would call it a film, but I did watch Branded.
Okay, did you watch someone get branded, or you watched a film called Branded?
The film called Branded. And every time I try to tell somebody I've watched Branded, they thought I said Brandon, and they asked me when I was seeing him, and it's always been an awkward conversation. Yeah, Branded. It was absolute. It was a great movie. What can I say? We will talk about it later. I can't wait to talk about the movie.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
So many positive things to say.
But remember, guys, this isn't just an entertainment podcast. No. A lot of people seem to get confused about this being an entertainment podcast. No, if you look in the title, it says Across the Pond. Now, if you're smart and believing, you know, you'd assume that it's because I'm in the UK and Matt's in the US. But right next to it, it says MMA, Mixed Martial Arts, and that's what we like to talk about. And to be honest, it's sort of like the calm, or you know, they say the calm before the storm. This is like the calm after the storm. It's the aftermath of the whole John Jones thing. People are bored of talking about it now. It's sort of like, meh, he screwed up UFC 151. It's going to happen again. But because of that, every little bit of news is sort of, it just doesn't feel big, although it might have felt, you know, slightly big if that whole John Jones situation hadn't gone through. For example, Lorenz Larkin is facing Luke Rockhold for the Strikeforce middleweight title instead of Jacare Souza. Now, something makes me scratch my head and go, question mark. Why Scott Coker? Matt, can you make sense of this?
Well, not really. I mean, it was pretty funny. I read just a little blurb from Scott Coker saying that after evidently much discussion, they decided that Lorenz Larkin was the number one contender, and how they came to that is beyond me. He was undefeated at light heavyweight minus the beating he received by Mo, since that was ruled a no contest due to King Mo being on steroids, and then he has
allegedly.
He was, and then he has one win at middleweight over Robbie Lawler, who, I mean, to me that doesn't put you in the middleweight title hunt, but evidently for Scott Coker it does.
Wow. I mean, we've both seen the fights. Who do you think is more impressive to you? What fight do you want to see more? Do you reckon they're doing it because they're trying to? They've already got, you know. I believe this fight's going. Is this fight happening on November 3rd?
Yes, it is.
It's happening November 3rd. I'm assuming that they're not going to have Jacare Souza versus Rockhold on that card because, one, they want to make sure that Rockhold gets paid, 2, Jacare Salazar versus Rockhold is a headline event. Now, it's not really a headline event, but for Strikeforce, that's the top level sort of middleweight competition you're going to get. So, do you not reckon that's why they're doing it?
Yeah, I really, I mean that I guess that's as good as reason as any. There's really, to me, I mean, I can't come up with a feasible reason for this to happen other than money. So, I guess that's what we're gonna have to bank it on, is that it had to do with cash, or of course it could be something behind the scenes that we don't know about, that Coker just overstepped his bounds by saying that Jacare and Larkin, or Jacare and Rockhold, were going to fight for the title, and then it didn't work out. Somewhat like Dana was saying Machida was going to be fighting Jones, and then lo and behold they didn't have it signed, and so it again didn't work out for him either.
It's a shame because Jacare looked incredible in his win against Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson's a very solid middleweight prospect, and Jacare Salazar is obviously a fantastic jiu-jitsu whiz, but his hands look so vicious during that fight, and it's just a shame that obviously Jacare's progressed and becomes a much better fighter than he was when they first fought, and it's going to be an interesting fight when it happens down the line. There's no doubt in my mind that these two, Rockhold and Jacare, will fight sooner or later, probably mid-2013. Who have you got in that actual fight, Matt?
I'm still staying with Rockhold. Jacare, he's a fantastic fighter, but I think that Rockhold is just going to continue to improve. And as we've talked about before, we think that Rockhold, he could be a future challenger in the UFC's middleweight division down the road. So this kid is just going to continue to improve, and he impresses me whenever I see him fight. So I'm going to go with the Luke in this fight.
No doubt. Now, keeping the conversation.
Looks like there's an opening for shipping coordinator, and I've got to pick.
That was my subconscious jumping into the show. I'm not really sure what that was. Erica, what's going on? What's the crack, Erica? Erica's not talking. Erica's what is saying. Right, keeping the conversation back on Strikeforce. Sarah McMahon, is facing Liz Carmouche. Do you think Sarah McMahon should have stayed in Invicta to gain more experience against lesser competition, because she hasn't been fighting for very long, or do you think this is a really good move for her because it leads to a potential fight between her and Ronda Rousey, which is Olympian versus Olympian?
I think it's a good move. I mean, Invicta is gaining support, and they've put on some great shows. But I mean, your goal as a fighter is always to make it to the bigger organizations, and right now the biggest organization as far as women's MMA is concerned is Strikeforce. So I think it was a smart move.
Indeed. Personally, I don't know. I just think it's a little bit early in her career. I mean, yeah, she can do well against most 145-pound women in Strikeforce, but I think there are some deficits with Zara. Obviously, her striking isn't fantastic. Her wrestling is fantastic. Maybe spending another year in Invicta, seeing what she could do there. I think that would have been a lot of help for her in that time. So I can see the negatives, but when you get a chance like this, and the weight division's so shallow, that allows an opportunity to get a title shot, and that's ultimately what she wants. So, title shot against who's the 145 champion in Strikeforce? Is it still Cyborg Santos? I thought she got her title stripped, but people keep on calling her the champion, so I'm very confused right now.
No, yeah, exactly. They do. Well, they not only the champion, everybody still looks there as the number one female fighter, which I think you have to fight in order to hold that title. So. But I think that Sarah McMahon coming over to Strikeforce, again, I think it's a good idea. I mean, there's not anybody that's going to prepare you for Ronda Rousey. So, I mean, you pretty much just have to fight her. I mean, even if you bring people in, to train to prepare for. I mean, emulating her is going to be difficult. So I think I think it's the right move. I mean, you got to fight the best to be the best, and so she comes over to the Strike Force, fights some better competition, and it'll improve her overall.
Yeah, but you say that, but what happens if she comes over to the Strike Force and loses? You've now lost the opportunity to have.
Well, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, look at Edward.
Sorry. What I was going to say, sorry, is that you've now lost the opportunity to have two undefeated Olympians face off each other to become the best fighter in the world, and that's a massive. I'm thinking about this as as a devil's advocate. I understand exactly what you're saying.
I understand. You're thinking about as far as the promotion goes, but the thing of it is that you and I know who Sarah McMahon is, but does the world doesn't know who Sarah McMahon is? What did Invicta do on its last show? It was like 200,000 views. Am I even in the ballpark? Something like that.
It actually was 300,000. It was more than it was first time round.
Okay, so by coming to Strikeforce, she's going to get more. They'll be able to promote her more. They'll be able to get her out there more and get her name out there. Whereas if she continues to fight Invicta, it's just that's a smaller promotion. Not as many people are going to know about her. Even if she goes on a tear, it's just going to be the hardcore fans that, in my opinion, that are going to be aware of who Sarah McMahon is. Whereas you want to get them out there to the people that are, just your average fan. That everybody knows who Ronda Rousey is, that is a fan of MMA, and so you want to get Sarah McMahon that same type of coverage.
No, indeed. I agree with you completely. Let's get away from some of the Strikeforce talk right now. Let's go on to another promotion, a newer promotion, the World Series of Fighting. Now, I never thought I'd talk about Ray Saffo again for a while because he's obviously a K1 dude, but I'm a K1 fan, but not a huge K1 fan, and I'm not sure what's really going on with Extreme Couture right now, where he was pretty much the head coach. But it seems like he's come back into the news as the president of the World Series of Fighting. I think, Matt, you'd have a better grasp of what this is actually doing, in the sense that I don't have NBC in the UK, so maybe you can tell me how that whole situation is going.
Well, it's getting on a major cable network in NBC Sports, so I mean it's a pretty decent, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, I don't think a ton of people follow NBC Sports as far as their cable show goes, but it's still, I mean, it's just another showing where the MMA world's or the MMA is going. I mean, it's more and more companies are wanting to get their hands in the pot and see if they can catch lightning in a bottle, and this is just the latest attempt. So I think they've got a one show deal, and so if it garners enough views, then they could extend it to a full year, and they're just going to go from there.
No, indeed. But would you say that NBC Sports is sort of like fuel? Because I'm trying to for the UK.
No, they're not even that. They're not even that. To be honest, I didn't know that they had a cable network as NBC Sports. So until this announcement was made, so I'm not even sure what their programming is. So I would say that they are smaller than Fuel, unless they're showing golf or something that I can't stand, and I would never watch. So.
Okay, cool. Now, there are two fight announcements made this week in the UFC. Chris Weidman versus Tim Boetsch and Lombard versus Paul Harris, two middleweight fights with two top contenders and two middle top contenders. Can you say that? I'm not even sure if that's a word, but I'm going to run with it because I stick with what I say. Middle top contenders. Matt, who are you going to go with for Weidman versus Boetsch? As when you first heard it, were you excited for the fight? Is that something that excites you?
No, not at all. I think that I'm not. This is not a fight that I wanted to see. It doesn't make much sense for Weidman to fight Tim Boetsch, especially Boetsch after Boetsch came off of that less than impressive decision win over Hector Lombard. But it's going to happen, and coming out of the gate, I've got Weidman. I think that he possesses the wrestling that can counter anything that Tim wants to do in that area, and his striking is far superior. And he's not going to be like Hector. He's not going to sit and wait for Tim to run into his fist. He's going to bring the fight to him. And it'd be probably hard for him to put Tim away because Tim is a monster. in the cage and can take a beating.
No,
but,
he's a barbarian.
Yeah, he's a barbarian. Yeah, he's the barbarian. Tim the barbarian. But it'll be I think it'll be an interesting fight. But I think Chris will win the decision fairly decisively.
Nice. Now, your opinions on Lombard versus Palhares. This is basically, in my opinion, the MMA version of a pit bull dog fight. No, nobody know anything about pit bulls? Short, stocky, muscular.
I get your reference. This is actually the fight that I wanted to see when Hector came into the UFC. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think that for Hector Lombard to win this fight, and he's already the favorite, he's going to have to go back to his old style of bull in a china shop where he just rushes his opponent and overwhelms them. I think that if he sits and again plods around waiting to counterstrike against Palhares, that Palhares will end up getting the fight to the ground. Even though Hector's judo is fantastic, I think Palhares his actual grappling once the fight goes to the ground is superior, and he can take advantage of that. And along with the fact that Husamar, he throws bombs too. It's it's not like that if Hector gets hit by Husamar, it's going to be an okay day for him. I mean, if Husamar can light him up and hurt him, then the fight will be over quickly because Husamar can slap on a leg submission like no other.
Yeah, no, that's no doubt. But the problem is, when do you really ever see anyone take Hector Lombard down? I don't think Boach managed to, did he?
Boach, I think Boach had one takedown on him, but then he got right back up. I don't know that it'll be a matter of him taking him down. I guess I should say that I think that Husamar will be able to make contact, and if he hurts Hector, then he'll take advantage of it, and there won't be much that Hector will be able to do about it. I think that Hector should win this fight, but I've not been impressed with him so far in the UFC. I think that fight against Tim Boach was horrible game planning, and he's going to have a better game plan to beat Palhares. I mean, if you look at who Palhares has lost to, he's only lost to the best. Mm-hmm. Middle tier guys don't beat him. So we got to see. We need to see if Hector Lombard is he top tier or is he middle tier?
Who, Hector Lombard?
Yes.
It's really, I say it's too hard and too difficult to really say right now whether or not he's top tier or middle tier. I think after this fight, we'll see whether or not he was top tier or middle tier. It's too hard simply because a lot of people still think Lombard won the fight against Boach. So it was there was no real sort of significant. There wasn't a unanimous decision. Oh, Boach clearly won all 3 rounds. There was a lot of sort of like, well, there wasn't a lot of action, but when there was action, it was from Lombard or and it wasn't very clear whether or not he won that fight.
Right, but if you're the guy that's supposed to challenge Anderson Silva for the title,
yes.
You Boach, you should floor him, in my opinion, and he didn't. And so, like I said, I mean, the only people Palhares has lost to, I believe, is Dan Henderson, Nate Marquardt, Alan Belcher. I mean, these are top guys. These guys aren't middle tier, bottom tier middleweights. So if Husamar if Hector Lombard can take care of Husamar, he'll be in good company and perhaps be able to start working his way back to that title shot that we're not even sure if he wants, being that he called out Mark Munoz to fight next versus Anderson Silva had he won the Tim Boach fight.
Cool. Fair enough. There's obviously other stuff as well. My brain's having a massive... Ladies and gentlemen, I think I should just tell them what's wrong with me. My wisdom tooth is coming out, and I'm in so much pain right now, but I don't actually sound like this, and I can hear Matt giggling in the background because he knows how much pain I'm in. So, thanks, Matt.
No problem.
Jackass. Dana White on UFC Tonight. I didn't actually get to see all the interviews. I've been a busy man. Could you tell us what happened? I saw little snippets. I think I tried to find it online, but I still couldn't find it online. Can you tell me what?
Basically, it was damage control. Dana coming in and saying and spreading the blame a little bit more on UFC 151 that wasn't completely John Jones' fault. That Dan Henderson is also to fault here because he knew of the injury several weeks before he notified Dana about it. And so, again, it's just damage control. After Dana went on his rampage in the press conference, this was his attempt to fix the rampage. the damage that he'd done with with throwing his light heavyweight champion under the bus and whatnot. So I think that's all this interview was. They talked about the Silva GSP super fight happening at 180, assuming GSP wins. More stuff to get the fans talking about, get them to forget about UFC 151. That's really what it felt like that interview was their attempt to make everyone forget what happened at UFC 151. And at no point did he take any of the blame for having such a weak card as being partially to blame for the cancellation of the event.
Wow, sounds like I missed some good stuff.
Oh, it's definitely, if you can catch it, it's definitely an interview worth checking out. But I mean, it was on UFC Tonight, and Ariel Helwani's not going to ask any tough questions because we know that if he did, he'd get fired. So that's kind of how I took it. And I also like the fact that Dana was once again sporting his Pride T-shirt, to make those fans feel loved. I mean, he went all out in this interview. So.
Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough. Cool. Now I did get a chance to chat. Oh God, I'm sorry, my mouth. I did get a chance to catch John Jones on the MMA Hour, and that was an interesting interview to say the least. What were your thoughts on it, Matt?
I thought it was too, and I thought that it showed that John Jones is starting to grow up. John, by the fact that he said that he felt like Dana and their relationship was a partner relationship, and he realized that after the press conference and that the way things have been handled, that's not the case. That he's an employee and that's his boss, and that's how their relationship's going to go. And so I think that it maybe was a wake up call for John as to where he actually where he lies in the company, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, knowing that that not everybody is your best friend. They're your best friend until you do something they don't like, and then you get what Dana did, get thrown underneath the bus. And I also liked the fact that John seemed to be, I don't know, I thought it was a solid interview. I mean, he had a couple moments where Ariel asked him about the PR conference call that Dana had, and he said he hadn't listened to it. And then later on in the interview, he said that he did listen to it and made comments, and so he's still a PR nightmare that they've got to get a hold of. In the fact that he just doesn't seem to be, he's all over the place whenever he does an interview. But as a whole, I thought it was a solid interview, and like I said, I think John is starting to get a grasp on what's going on. Yeah.
No, I completely understand. It felt. I know a lot of people sort of throw the word disingenuine out there when they talk about John Jones, but it did really feel genuine, like that's how he actually felt. It didn't feel like he was PR trained or whatever. It felt like he really expressed his feelings on the entire matter, and in some ways really put it to bed that, it's Dana feels one way and he feels another, and the way it is, and
right.
And
he said that when they get together, they'd squash it and move on. So, I mean, props to him. I mean, because if it was me, I would have still been pissed about it. So, I mean, the way he's handling it, I think he's handling it. Another big thing that impressed me was the fact that he said that he was going to get away from Twitter, that he was talking about getting away from social media altogether, a la GSP, and just fight his fights, do his media obligations, and just take care of business. And I think that's a great idea. I think that is a move that will absolutely help him in his career.
Yeah, and you know what? It's sort of to the point now where he doesn't even really need social media, in the sense that he's signed by Nike. He's going to be all over the place anyway. That's obviously gonna replace the whole aspect of social media. And you know what? He could still keep his Twitter account and just have a personal assistant tweet from it. There's nothing stopping him from doing that, just tweeting about news and whatnot. So it doesn't just have to be him. He can keep it that way, but he's still going to get out there. People are still going to know his name. And within 3 years, John Jones, I know a lot of people say this, but I think it's gonna take a little bit longer. I mean, within 3 years, he could be like as big as Michael. He could be the Michael Jackson. Oh God, no, Michael Jordan of MMA, in my opinion. Just popularity wise, if he continues on the way he's going.
Oh, I agree. I mean, just if he continues to dominate the sport in the fashion that he has, which all signs point to that, I don't see him having any issues, unless someone like DC drops down to light heavyweight, or he moves up to heavyweight. But in the light heavyweight division as it is, he should be able to continue to just roll through people and put on impressive performances.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, I'm assuming did you watch the entire show, or did you just see that bit?
Just that.
Okay, cool. Well, Matt Mitrione was in the MMA Hour, and he called out John Jones and said, if he moved up to heavyweight, he would love to fight him.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was letting you. I was going to let you do your guffaw, and then ask your opinion on that. Now your guffaw is finished. I will ask your opinion. What is your opinion?
I that's the first I've heard of this, so I find it pretty funny. Matt Mitrione, I like Matt Mitrione, and Matt Mitrione's a wonderful interview, and he gives us fairly entertaining fights, but he stands zero chance against a heavyweight John Jones. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, Mitrione's skills are still improving. I mean, unless something's happened since his last performance that his skills have skyrocketed to a completely different level, no. This guy right now, to me, is a middle-tier heavyweight. Middle-tier heavyweights are not beating John Jones.
Yeah, potentially. Who knows? But, I just think it's a little bit different because John Jones is so much bigger than other UFC light heavyweights. But when he fights, a heavyweight, he's a little bit. He's fighting people his own size. Do you know what I mean?
He is, but he's still longer than all of them. And the thing that makes John Jones, in my opinion, is that he understands how to use his length. There are so many fighters in MMA that don't understand distance, and he has got a fairly strong grasp at that, especially at his young age, and that's just going to continue to improve. And at heavyweight, there's a lot of guys that still don't understand how to use distance, and I think he'll take advantage of that and continue, and would continue to win at heavyweight unless he's fighting the top tier guys.
Nice. Well done, sir. Really enjoyed that sort of situation right there. We'll see what happens with John Jones and his quest to become potentially one day the UFC heavyweight champion. Maybe. No. Maybe. Cool. Now, everyone wants a piece of John Jones these days, including Daniel Cormier, who was also a heavyweight, saying that he would like to have a coaching job against John Jones on The Ultimate Fighter. Me personally, I would love to see that so much. That would be like the best Ultimate Fighter I've ever. For the longest time, I haven't been excited for Ultimate Fighters. I'm excited for the smashes, the Ultimate Fighter smashes, because I've got people that I know on there. But the genuine idea of Daniel Cormier versus John Jones on The Ultimate Fighter makes my heart melt a little bit. What were your thoughts on that, Matt?
I'm right there with you, man. I think that Cormier, Jones, Tough would be fantastic. And I would love to see it. I mean, I think that in part it's due to the fact that Daniel doesn't want to have to fight Kane if JDS was to lose to Kane. I mean, being that they're teammates. And so this is his way of staying in title contention in the UFC and avoiding that matchup if it was to have to happen. But that being said, that'd be great. I mean, Daniel has got the skills that it would take to beat John Jones. And on top of the fact that he's not afraid to move in and get inside the pocket, and the guy is ridiculously strong. I think that when you watch him fight Josh Barnett, it blew me away when he picked up Barnett up in the air and slammed him. I mean, like UFC or WWF style. Grabbed a single, ran it, and picked him up and just slammed him on his head. I was completely dumbfounded. And so his level of wrestling is beyond anything John has, and I think that would pose a problem for John. So it'd be a really, really interesting fight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely completely agree. I just think, I've heard stories and rumors of Daniel Cormier's coaching sessions and for wrestling at AKA, and I've heard they are the most legendary, intense wrestling sessions that you could even dream of going to. So I'd love to see him coaching the Ultimate Fighter. I think it would be just incredible. A high-level wrestling coach with members of AKA behind them, teaching these young guys. And then you've got John Jones, who's been there before, a young fighter helping other young fighters, and he's got arguably the best team in MMA behind him. It would be incredible viewing, really, don't you think? You obviously think it would be too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Winklejohn and Jackson, with on John Jones' side, I mean, yes, it would make, like I said, it would make for fantastic television. I mean, and DC has got a great personality, and it would give John the opportunity to to let loose a little bit. I mean, I think that the Ultimate Fighter's helped out a lot of people as far as people's opinions. I mean, I think it's built. I think when Koscheck was on it, it helped him develop who he is. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I think it helps you out a lot, especially people that are having PR issues. They go on the Ultimate Fighter, and I think it helps them.
I think I completely agree with that in the sense that Junior Dos Santos didn't really have an image. He was just, before he went on the Ultimate Fighter, he was just a scary Brazilian dude who punched people in the face, and they seemed to just fall down on the ground. And they were just knocked out and unconscious. But once he was in the Ultimate Fighter, people were just like, yo, he's a really nice dude. He's really cool. We love Junior Dos Santos. He's awesome. And now he's just the Mr. Nice Guy of the MMA world. And that's who he is now. He now has a personality. He now has an image. And it'll be interesting to see how, when someone like John Jones and Daniel Cormier, they go through that ring of that, how many weeks is it? 8 weeks? 6 weeks?
Yeah, I believe it's 8. It's like 10 weeks, actually. I think 2.5 months.
This 10-week session of training these guys and being in each other's faces for 10 weeks. It'd be interesting to see how they would change as people in front of the camera. Do you know what I mean?
No, without a doubt. I mean, like I said, it's something that I think that once everyone hears about it, I think that people will get on board, especially after DC dispatches of Frank Mir, because I don't see that not happening. So he's going to get a little bit more publicity. More people are going to get to know who DC is after the Mir fight, and I think that would be a great announcement to hear that they're going to put Jones and DC in the tough competition. So.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Right, what else are we going to talk about today? Oh, God, my jaw hurts so much, Matt. This is horrible.
Well, what do you think about the Silva-GSP super fight at 180, assuming GSP gets past Condit?
That's a big assumption, considering
it is assumption.
Considering I think Carlos Condit will actually beat him. But I still think it will happen, whether or not Condit wins or not. It might even be better if Condit wins, because then there's it wouldn't be better because it would be title champion versus champion instead of long-term former champion versus current champion. But what do I think about it? It's a hard one, because first of all, everyone says that Anderson Silva is too big for GSP. Does anyone remember that Anderson Silva used to fight at 170? He was a 170-pounder that moved up to 185, if I remember rightly. So he's not crazy big. Is he bigger than GSP? For sure. But it's not like, if when Anthony Johnson fought Charlie Brenneman, then came in the next day weighing 200 pounds, and Charlie Brenneman was probably about 183. That it's not that sort of big. So it's not that big of a deal in that sense. I think it's an interesting fight because obviously Silva is not the greatest wrestler in the world, and GSP can take him down and will take him down if he gets the chance. But there are just too many variables, to be honest. It's very difficult. I'd have to go with Silva though. I think he's the best fighter ever, and followed by GSP in a very close second. But just really difficult to say that I can see GSP beating Anderson Silva in that fight if it was to happen, even at 180 pounds.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't see GSP winning that fight. I mean, a lot of people think that GSP would be able to get his double leg. I think that even that might be in question because GSP could get hit going into that double leg, and we all know that Anderson Silva can put you down with just a jab. So I don't think that at 180, at 185, at 205, I don't think that he wins this fight at any level, unless, especially coming off this injury. That's the other thing. We don't really. I mean, he says he's at 100%, and we're going to hear that all the way up to the Condit fight. But I mean, this was a pretty serious injury later in a guy's career. I mean, I'm going to be really interested to see how he comes back from it. I mean, we know that GSP works like no other and is a physical specimen. So you would think that he'd be able to come back, but maybe he doesn't have the push off with the double leg, or he's not going to be able to move as laterally as well as he used to. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out.
No, indeed. Right, I think that's about it, really. Should we go to the entertainment stage, sir?
I believe so.
I believe so. Right, Erica. No, you can't. You don't want to talk to us anymore because you hate my voice and you think Matt's a racist, apparently. But can you play the new Ice and Fire track? Matt, what song are we going to play?
We're going to play Protest, and after Protest, we'll call in. We're going to have Sahar Montalvo, the lead front man for Eyes on Fire, on the show for a short interview.
Sweet. So, Erica, if you don't mind, could you throw on that track, and then we'll go and speak to Sahar in a bit.
Disordered by
that one. So if you can basically imagine Jersey Shore with metal. That's pretty much what my life was like a minute ago. We have Sahar Montalvo coming on the show in a bit. We can hear the phone ringing. Hopefully, he actually picks up, because then it would be embarrassing. Oh, rockstar style! It's not picking up. Yeah. Erica, how's that going? Hello?
Evidently, we're having some issues getting a hold of Sahar, so we'll come back to that.
Yeah, no problem. Cool. So, yeah. If you, what did you think? Tell us a little bit about Branded while we're waiting for Sahar to come on the phone.
Oh, wow.
I've been looking forward to this all week.
Say about Branded? I still really don't know what the hell I watched.
Can you give me a brief explanation of what the film was, if you can?
It's basically like this dystopian future that was set in 2012, that where marketing has taken over our lives, and we are just at its beck and call, and that's pretty much the gist of the movie, is that marketing is bad, advertising is bad, corporations control everything, and which this movie was, or at least the director, Jamie Bradshaw, and his cohort, Alexander Doolarn, were trying to tell us that this was an original movie, original script, and to me it was basically like if you took Alice in Wonderland, They Live, and Field of Dreams, and smashed it all together and threw it at a wall. That was kind of what Branded was. I was really going to do an interview or a review of this movie, and then I thought to myself, you know what? The movie made so little sense. What I do, I thought maybe I just go through the process I go through when I review a movie. And I when I go to a movie, I sit down, I have a little black book, and as the movie plays, I write notes. Usually it's just one or two words that to bring back a scene, to help me, write a review or come up with my, overall opinion of the movie. So I'm just going to read what I wrote as I was watching the movie, because it won't make a whole lot of sense. Basically, what the movie, but it basically is just like the movie. So obviously I write down Branded because that's the beginning or the title of the movie, and then I start from there. Moscow, early '80s, kid hit by lightning. Apple, Burger King, Versace, Flashlight Salt, Lennon. Advertisers in America. Corporations are evil, unable to tell story through film. Sex scene, extreme makeover reality TV, TNT, YouTube, social commentary, dystopian future, Ed Stoppard, Misha, marketing genius, Shepard, if you build it, they will come, symbolism, naked, if you get more fat, I will like it like that. They Live, space cows shooting lightning.
Sorry, whoa. Sorry, wait. If you get more fat, I will like. Are you becoming a rapper? What happened here?
No, that was just that was a rap song that was on the movie. That was the main chorus, so it just stuck in my head, and so I wrote it down. But yeah, so that's basically the movie. And then space cows shoot lightning bolts at marketing genius. And they sacrifice a red cow. What the fuck? Narrated by a cow. What the fuck did I just watch? That is exactly what I wrote in order to write my opinion on this movie. It probably didn't make a whole lot of sense to anybody as I read it, and the movie makes very little sense as you watch it. They're trying to make a social commentary, that advertising's bad, and they beat you over the head with it that advertising is bad. The acting in it is borderline, some of the worst acting I've ever seen. At times, there'll be a scene that's supposed to be full of emotion and the actor will have none, or there'll be a scene where there should be tons of emotion, or there shouldn't be any emotion, and the actor, you would think that their dog just got hit by a car. So the editing, they went from like a widescreen to like the 4:3 ratio throughout the movie. Like if they were shooting something in the 90s, I guess they would shoot it with 480p versus 1080p, if that makes any sense to you. It was just a mess. It was a complete and utter mess. The director, Jamie Bradshaw, said that they were able to do this movie do the movie the way they did it because they produced, wrote, and edited it themselves without the backing of any big major production companies. They funded it all themselves, and I completely believe them because any of the major production companies, if they were involved whatsoever with this movie, it would have never been released. And not because it slams all the brands that they back, but because it is utter trash. I mean, this is one of those movies that 25 years from now will have a cult following because of how bad it is.
Wow. Probably the harshest review I've ever heard someone give a film. Damn. Yeah. To be honest, even when you were reading your notes out, I feel like I tripped a little bit. I was just like, I just don't know how to respond right now. My brain is killing me. I don't know what you were saying. It was a complete mashup.
Hello.
Sahar Montalvo, glad to have you on. This is Across the Pond MMA with Matt Simpson and Andre Jacobs.
What's going on, brother?
Hey guys, how you doing? What's up?
Doing good. How are you guys doing?
I'm fantastic. Matt's being a bitch as usual, but we're all good. We're all good. So we played your song earlier. It was fantastic. I don't know if Matt told you or dropped you a text message during the show, but I might have to sue you guys because I now have whiplash from headbanging because he sent me the song earlier in the week, and now I can't really move my neck. So one, thank you, and two, damn you to hell.
Yeah, we should have left the disclaimer out there before you listen to the song, I guess.
Really, it would have been nice, just a little bit nice, respect your fans, they can't walk anymore. I know I'm finding it very hard to walk. What's going on there, man? Disclaimer beforehand, potential to hurt yourself. Tremendous. So actually tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about how the band came together.
Oh gosh, well, Eyes on Fire really was an idea that started about 5 years ago. My guitar player, Shane Lanning, is actually, take him credit for founding the band. I was actually performing in another band at the time, and he told me about this project that he had going on with a couple of guys that they were just jamming. And he let me listen to a few recordings that they had made, and definitely piqued my interest. I've got metal music's in my heart, so at the time I was doing something a little bit more experimental, so I needed to get back to my roots. Started playing with those guys, and I just fell in love with everything that we were doing. And it's been a difficult 5 years, with lineup changes and some challenges that we faced with putting the album out. But I think for the first time in 5 years, we've definitely got the lineup and the band that Eyes on Fire should have always been. So no real secret or secret pact or blood oath or anything like that happened, or any crazy stories. Just a bunch of group of guys that we played together with over the years, and we're fortunate to come together and form this band.
How awesome would it have been if there were actually some blood oaths, though?
Well, I mean, I think that's what we're starting to do. Like, we definitely have a new guitar player, and there was kind of a hazing phase through there, so we had to kind of break it.
Interesting.
I'm sure there was some blood involved at some point.
Cool. So, what type of bands influenced you? Because personally, when I listen to some of the songs, I hear a lot of, not a lot of, but little smidgets of Still Remains and a little bit of Atreyu, because there's some harsher vocals, and then there are some softer vocals. There's some really good technical guitar playing, technical drumming, and some good bass work as well. So, am I right in the sense that I'm hearing those sort of bands in there, or am I just a complete music retard? I'm probably a complete music retard. I'm sorry.
I can agree with that.
Well, I'm sure that you are on some level a retard, but no. But
I like him.
yeah, I mean you're right on the money with that. Bullet for My Valentine, All That Remains, Seven Dust, all those bands. Those are bands that we look up to and that we strive to be as good as. And we've been fortunate enough to have the pleasure to share the stage with some of those cats. So it's those are definitely where we pull our roots from, but we can't turn our nose away from the metal gods like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and all those bands too that we grew up with. So lots of old school roots in there. You kind of get a little bit of Megadeth nostalgia in a few of our tracks. But yeah, I think you're pretty much on the money with what you're hearing in there.
Tremendous. I like him. He's got some banter with him. A lot. Sometimes when you interview,
well, he's got you pegged pretty well.
That's what. Yeah. Well, Don Fry had me pegged a little bit too well apparently last week, so that was horrible.
Do what?
Sorry, Saha?
I'm sorry, you guys are breaking up on my end here.
Oh, sorry. So how long's it taking you to get the album out and whatnot? Because it sounds like some really how do I put this? It sounds like you've really spent a lot of time on each song, getting all the intricacies out there. I'm not really an incredible basically the only music I can actually make is beats. So when I actually had a guitar, it sounded pretty terrible. I think I'm slightly drunk.
Well, yeah.
So, but yeah, no. How long did it take to create a song and get the actual album out?
Well, our last record that we put out was in 2009, about 3 years ago, and we've had some hiccups along the way with member changes and stuff, and actually went on almost a year hiatus, getting a new drummer in line and things like that, and we went in the mindset of this next record that we're going to put out, we're going to put our all into it and make sure that we're really emphasizing our songwriting ability and our technical abilities too. We wanted to put the best of the best into each song that we write. So it typically starts off with an idea, and some songs come to us a little bit quicker than others. We wrote When I Die, I think, in 2 days, but then you get songs like A Protest that you guys just played. And that's an idea that we've been jamming on for 2 years, and all of a sudden you just get the right pieces into play and it comes together. So typically it's a pretty fast process once we actually get into the studio. We've got a very great engineer that we've worked with for the last 3.5 years, and he understands where we come from and we understand where he comes from, so that makes that process a whole lot smoother over at Threshold Studios with Bone. So it all depends on the song and the idea and what we're feeling at the time. But this record we've been working on now for the better part of a year, just because of the lineup changes that we've had in the band. Our goal is to release it this winter, but it looks like we're going to be pushing it back to probably early spring of 2013, and we're really excited about it. We're getting a lot of feedback and buzz from all the fans, and we've been releasing tracks for people to listen to online to kind of hear what the feedback is, and it's been positive. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. Matt, you got anything?
Yeah, just to go on a little bit more about the new album. One thing I've noticed is from your last album, you guys have progressed exponentially with this new album, and it seems like because you're taking so much time between each song, that each song is a progression in itself as far as you guys going musically. So I'm super excited to see the final product and to hear the other tracks that you guys add on to this, because up to this point, up to you guys releasing Protest, your song Enemy was by far and away my favorite song, but Protest has now taken that spot, and like I said, you guys just continue to grow, and that's what I think is really amazing, is that you guys, even with lineup changes and all the different hardships and stuff you guys have had to deal with, your music still continues to progress forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and we really go with the mindset of, with every song that we're releasing, how can we make the next one better? Because the response that we've got, when we first started this with When I Die was just kind of oh my gosh, we had a lot of people, and a lot of attention came out of that song. And so, with each song and each progression, we've had to look at it as, okay, what's the next evolution going to be for Eyes on Fire? So I really appreciate that. I'm glad you like what you're hearing out there, Matt.
Yeah, well, I myself, I'm pretty much just a metalhead. I like country, I like a little bit of rap, but man, I love metal, and so anything that gets me moving and grooving is gonna play to me. And so, like I said, with these songs you guys are putting out there, man, they're fantastic. I've likened it to the Hatebreed's Perseverance, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. That it just, when I hear some of these songs you guys are playing, it just makes me immediately want to break things, which sometimes is not a good thing depending on what environment I'm in.
We like making people break stuff.
But you guys have also put a video out. So, and I believe that is your first video as a band. Is that correct?
That's right. We had the ability to do a music video not too long ago. We released it about 6 months ago, and got to do it with the great Adam Shoemaker. And we filmed it actually in a haunted factory in Alexandria, Indiana. And some crazy shit happened while we were doing that too. So lots of behind-the-scenes footage that we're actually going to release with the DVD, because this whole album's just been it's been a bear to put together just over the last year, and we're going to put out a DVD with it as well too. It's pretty ambitious on our end, but I think it's the right thing to do. And there's lots of good footage in there, what happened while we were there filming the music video. But we did it for the song When I Die, and it's pretty cool, I think. You know, we built some, it's got some fire in it, and I get to throw a Molotov cocktail up against the wall and blow some stuff up. So
you can never go wrong with fire. I mean, I think every metal video should have fire in it at some point. But that being said, now I've listened to multiple bands talk about actually when they're in there making the video and stuff, and nobody seems to enjoy it. They all seem to act like that it's just super time consuming, frustrating, and once it's done, they don't want to do another one ever. And obviously they still have to do videos, but they really hate the process. Was that the case for you guys, or was it a little bit better than that?
The process was definitely, I think it would have went a whole lot smoother had we had not ran into the hiccups that we ran into while we were there. We had all kinds of just crazy stuff happen, like our generator died, so we didn't have any power at one point. It was absolutely freezing that day, too. It was 80 degrees the day before and 80 degrees the day after, but the day of, it was like 53. So if you actually watch the video close enough, you can see my breath as the camera gets up close on some of us. You know, it was dirty and filthy in there, and thank God I brought a cooler full of beer to keep us kind of sedated a little bit through the process, because it probably would have been a whole lot more painful. But, I mean, we enjoyed it. The hardest thing for us was, you know, it was a 12-hour day. We set up at 8:30, and, you know, of course, being an independent band, you don't have a, you know, $1 million budget where you get to pull in, you know, a producer and all this other crap where they build the stage and set for you. So we had to go there and set up the room and dress it, and you know, I had to tear down these cardboard and wood planks that they had on the windows to get some natural lighting in the room, and then we had to set up all of our gear, and then we had to get dressed to look cool in this music video when we're absolutely fucking filthy, you know, and then we went actually into shooting. The shooting process actually took less time than it did for actual setup, so because we were there until about 9:30 at night, so out of a 12-hour day, I mean, it was really only 4.5 hours of filming. So, but definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever done, you know, because you have to play the song over and over and over and over and over again for 4.5 hours. And, you know, by the second or third time that you're playing the song, you're tired of it. So, you know, imagine doing it 50 or 60 times. It's really, really terrible.
Well, that seems to be the overwhelming consensus, is the repetitiveness of doing the shots that is what gets to everybody and just grades on them.
Yeah, it's just annoying, you know, to the point to where you're just like, all right, I'm ready for this to be over, and I want to do something else, or I want to have a music video to be done. But you know, all the guys were troopers about it, and you know, thankfully we had what seemed to be an endless supply of beer there, so that was the important part. And you know, we kept it going. But we've got some ideas in the works and a schedule lined up to release another video that we're going to be doing, and we're looking at doing that for the movie In the End, and it's actually going to have real combat footage from the war in Afghanistan. I got, you know, some footage from a good friend of mine. His name's Patrick Shannon, and he was a soldier over there and retired now with the military, but he was actually wounded and he got a Purple Heart, and he's got about 400 hours worth of combat footage that he had mounted on his helmet, and yeah, so we're going to use some of that. So not only will we have fire in this next video for you, Matt, but we're actually going to have real explosions and gunfire in there as well. So,
well, that sounds fantastic. I mean, you know, gunfire, fire. I mean, I don't know that you could put much more in a video other than maybe some drunk chicks, and then we'd be set.
I think we could probably make that happen.
But yeah,
randomly, as we're blowing shit up,
is
there'll be these random drunk chicks just walking around.
Yeah, there you go. But like I said, your guys' music is continuing to progress. What have you guys decided on a title for this new album yet? Or I mean, because it's so far off, have you guys not really talked about that yet?
Yeah, the name of the album really hasn't come up much, during the writing process. Right now, we're kind of leaving it as a self-titled record, but of course that could change. We've got a couple ideas in the works, and obviously with 3 brand new members in the band as well. We want to include their input in there because Shane and I had quite a bit to say on the last record and naming it and all that other good stuff with Anger to Ashes. So, as far as the name goes for the album, we haven't really pinned one down yet.
Okay. You want to tell everybody a little bit about the other band members that you guys have brought on to give us this great sound?
Yeah, my bass player, Dustin Green, he and I actually played in a band a long time ago together for 5.5 years, and after that band broke up, he went and played in several other groups, and I did the same, and it just was all about timing. We've gone through about 20 different bass players in Eyes on Fire, and that's no joke. If you actually look at the credits on the inside of Anger to Ashes, the bass player that's in that is actually our producer, who's Brian Thorburn from Threshold Studios. So he was kind of a fill-in for us there. And but we picked up Dusty just as his band was breaking up. And of course, I've had a long history playing with him, and he just fit right in. He was ecstatic about our music and loved it, and really brought a passion and a depth to the songs that we needed. And the bass tone too. I mean, he's got just tremendous tone. And then Shane Ailey, who's our drummer, he performed in the band for a little over 7 years, called Beyond Agony. Phenomenal drummer. He kind of looks like Rob Halford from Judas Priest, just saying. So, but he's just one of the best drummers that I've ever come across. I've always wanted to play with him. And his band broke up, and of course, we were having some issues with our drummer at the time, and the decision was made that we just had to let him go. Eyes on Fire was going to continue and actually progress as a band to write better music. Because as a group, we were all getting better, and we needed to move on. So asked Shane if he would be interested in doing it, and we jammed with him a couple of times and just blew us away. The guy is just technically superior in every aspect that he does as far as playing drums. And then just recently, we lost our longtime lead guitar player, Eric Abner. It was just a mutual split. He had some personal things that he needed to address and had to step away from music for a little while, and we understood. But we had to continue on as a band, so he was very humble and forthcoming on that, and actually assisted us with picking out Andy Nixon, who is our new lead guitar player, and Andy is just incredible. He's played in a million and one bands here in the city, and actually also played with Shane Ailey, my drummer, in Beyond Agony for that 7-year duration. So they already had that history there, and we knew that chemistry worked, so it was a no-brainer for us to pick him up, and he just fit very well with myself and Shane and Dusty, and here we are, and here's our new lineup. So very, 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 very excited with the new Eyes on Fire, and the crowds have been, more than forthcoming with the changes that we've had, more than patient with the changes that we've had too, when we've had the downtime and not been able to produce new music because of the downtime. So,
well, that's awesome. I mean, these guys are really helping you guys. I mean, you guys are really putting out a great sound. And so, the next song that we're going to play off the Untitled album is Deceiver. You want to set that up a little bit?
Yeah, The Deceiver, let's see, in a nutshell, is kind of a love song for all the ladies out there, but for anybody that's been in a relationship that's going nowhere and felt like they were giving it their all and kind of got shit on. That's what The Deceiver is pretty much about.
This is my favorite song from you guys, by the way. Not because I'm like a bitter asshole or anything. I just really enjoy the song.
You are a bitter asshole.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad you like it.
Gazing like the scarecrow.
right now. I can't help but headbang. It's a great song.
No, definitely. It's a fantastic song.
It's a fantastic song. Is Sahar gone? I think Sahar's gone.
I
Sahar
believe
gone?
we lost Sahar.
That's a shame. That's a massive shame. But then again, shout out to Sahar. Thank him for coming on the show. Sahar, awesome songs. Everyone check out Eyes on Fire, www.facebook.com. Is it Eyes on Fire Music?
Eyes on Fire Music. You can check out their video at Matt Simpson MMA on Twitter. I tweeted it out earlier. You can check out some of their songs. You can listen to them on their website, and that's www.eyesonfiremusic.com. Definitely check them out. They've got a show coming up in Indianapolis, September 15th at the Hoosier Dome. If you want to see them live, which I can say that you definitely want to see these guys live. They put on a hell of a show.
Dope. I'm going to throw out 2 films out there that I think everyone should sort of get up on because they look really... Well, one of them looks sort of like it could be really good, and the other one looks like it's going to be really good. What do you want to start with first?
Whichever one you want to go with. I've got a couple shows to go to too.
Okay. I've just seen a trailer for a film called The Prototype, which it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty good. I'm really excited for that. It's basically sort of like, have you heard of the whole singularity idea?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's based around that, except it's more like an army sort of thing. It looks kind of like a B movie. But I'm not really sure whether or not if it's going to be good, but I'm hoping it will be. It could be one of those, it could be sort of like Sliver, where in the sense that, it wasn't on a lot of people's radars, and then when it was, everyone was sort of like, damn, this is a really good film. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I've not, you'll have to hit me up with that trailer because I haven't seen it.
Okay, cool. The other one I've seen, which I'm really, really, really excited for, is a film called LUV. So instead of, love as in the way that normal people would spell it, it's LUV in the way that pre-teens would spell it. I'm not really sure why it's called that, but it stars the rapper Common, also Megan Good. Did you watch 24 back in the day?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you remember, what was the president's name? Really tall black guy, sounds like a bear.
I can't remember.
President, I feel like it's President Ryan, but I don't think it.
I don't think that was that.
President Palmer.
Yep, that's it.
President Palmer's in it, and a few other people. It's basic. It's a weird film in the sense that it's got a little kid called Michael Rainey Jr. This is his first film, and from what I can tell from the trailer, it's a really good performance from him. His mum is away. We're not sure what's wrong with her. Maybe she's in jail, drug problems, not sure. And he's with his uncle. His uncle drops him off to school, but instead of dropping him off to school, he follows his uncle for a day. Everything seems perfectly fine. They're having fun until his uncle goes to do a job, and his uncle shoots someone, and it goes all downhill from there. It looks absolutely incredible, really emotional, really sort of. It seems like it's going to be a really strong drama. Yeah, but I'm really looking forward to that film. That's something, and it's got. I think it got put into the official Sundance selection, and I usually trust those things, and they've never really let me down before.
That's another movie that I have not heard of, so you're going to have to hook me up there as well.
Indeed. When everyone it got announced that Black Swan was going to be made, and everyone was sort of like, "Well, I'm not going to watch a film about ballet. Who cares about ballet?" You know what I mean? And then everyone watched it, and they were like, "Holy crap! This film is absolutely amazing." Sundance selection. The only reason I watched it was because of that, I believe. So, check these films out, man. They sound pretty good, and they look pretty good as well.
Okay, well, I've got one for you. I've got one for you to check out, and we talked about it off air last week, and I watched.
I'm not watching Branded, by the way.
No, yeah. Oh God, don't watch Branded. You'd be better off watching Barbarella than watching Branded. So, yeah, and that's a horrible movie, but you'd be better off watching that. But no, the movie I'm going to talk about is Audition. I had never seen it. It's a Japanese horror film. people look at it as being what spawned the modern day Japanese horror films like the Grudge, which I shouldn't say modern day. I mean, Audition was made back in '99, so it's not that old of a movie. But wow, have you seen that movie?
I'm not a big horror fan.
Yeah, well, I know you have nightmares and all that stuff, so you should definitely watch this though, because I know you're always working the dating scene and whatnot, and this would be the perfect movie for someone like you. But yeah, that movie, the end of the movie is hands down some of the most horrific. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's easily the top 10.
Really? Is this what I want to show a date one day?
No, not show a date, just for you as far as, because it's a dating movie is basically what it boils down to. It's a When Harry Met Sally, except everything goes wrong. So it's more like when Harry met a sociopath. Maybe it should be more. Is
this basically Single White Female from 1999? Do you remember that film?
Sort of, yeah. Barely. I've watched that, I think, one time. No, there's nothing that describes this movie, and I know that there's not a ton of people out there that are probably big into foreign films and watching subtitles, but if you can get past that and you can deal with the subtitles, this is definitely, and you're a horror fan, this is definitely something that you should look up and watch, because, like I said, hands down, top 10 most disturbing movie I've ever seen. And the ending in it is, I still really can't get it out of my head. I mean, after I got done watching this, I actually watched Barbarella. Going back to Barbarella, I watched Barbarella right after this to just try to rinse my mind of the stain that this movie left. So I don't want to go into details to what happens, but it's definitely something you should see. And Andre, you should check it out. I mean, I know you hate horror films, but give this one a try.
So if I'm seeing a young lady, should me and her watch this film together?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be fantastic.
Really?
No, you shouldn't. But it would be. I would like to. You know what? If it's someone you don't like, you should watch this movie with her.
Is the ending really that screwed up?
Oh, it is. It is, like I said, top 10. And I've seen some absolutely horrific movies as far as, I mean, like I watched All the Faces of Death, Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, I've seen some pretty messed up movies.
Do you know what was a screwed up? Do you know what was a screwed up film for me? I'm gonna have to Wikipedia it, but it's basically. Do you remember the young lady who was in Juno? She was in Inception as well. Ellen Page.
Yes. She
starred in a film where it was sort of like internet dating, but she was like sort of like a psychopath as well. I'm going to find out what this film was called. But that film was probably one of the most just soul-crushing films you can ever watch as a man. I will tell you what it's called now. And I think you should watch it if you haven't seen it before. I will tell you. It's called Hard Candy. That's what it's called. Have you ever watched Hard Candy before?
No, I haven't.
Please, if I watch Audition I'm not going to be able to watch this week because I'm going to be incredibly busy. But I will watch Audition by the time the next time we do a show, and please watch Hard Candy. I'd love to hear what you think about that. It's not 500 Days of Summer. I can promise you that now. Okay.
Well, that's good because we all know what I think of 500 Days of Summer.
Well, I know exactly what you think of 500 Days of Summer, but I'm not sure anyone else knows what you think of 500 Days of Summer. But yeah, Hard Candy is a fantastic, fantastic film, but I can't recommend any more often, to be honest. Yeah, cool. I think I'm pretty sure we're done. We good?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap.
Cool. Right, so shout outs to anyone. Shout out to I will throw him a shout out first. Shout out to Sahar for coming on the show. Really nice dude. Really enjoy his music. Guys, if you're in Indianapolis or anywhere where Ice and Fire are playing, me and Matt really hope that you go and see him live. I haven't seen him live. I'd like to see him live, but Matt doesn't lie. He's not a liar. If he says they're really good live, then they're really good live. Go see him, and they have really good music as well. So yeah, shout out to Sahar. Shout out to Matt Simpson. Shout out to the lovely Erica, who's too timid to come on the show and say what's going on with her mind today. Erica, I'm really heartbroken about that.
I'm sorry about that. I really am. I'm watching the Redskins football game on my computer. I've been too busy cheering for my team.
Go Skins.
Are they winning or losing?
Oh, they are kicking New Orleans in the butt.
How's Reggie Bush done?
Well, he did Kim Kardashian, so he's done very well.
I don't think Reggie Bush isn't with the.
Oh, that's right. He's
Saints
not with
anymore.
him. He's with Miami.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how much I know about American football.
That's how much my brain's working today.
Tremendous. Well, Erica is still alive, ladies and gentlemen. She hasn't left us. We might do a show next week. I'm 100% traveling, but we might do a show next week. If we don't do a show next week, then we'll do something. We'll do something somewhere, somehow. Okay. So, Matt, anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, as always, thanks to everybody that listens and downloads the show. Keep doing it. We appreciate it. Thanks to Erica behind the scenes, taking care of things for us. And thanks to Andre for putting up with me as always. And definitely, if you guys are into metal, check out Eyes on Fire. We do appreciate Star Montalvo coming on, front man for them. They do some fantastic things, and their album that they're putting together is going to absolutely blow people away. So check them out.
For sure. And on that note, since we've covered all bases and hit all topics, we're out here. Peace. Play that funky music, Erica.